What would you do if you discovered that the person you love had hidden a terrifying truth from you? How would you feel knowing they faced death while you remained blissfully unaware? Today, Tien wants to share one of the most emotional moments in her relationship with Jack. The day she discovered he had been kidnapped and nearly lost his life, yet he never told her. The revelation shook her to the core and ignited an anger she had never felt before. How did Jack explain himself? Could their love survive this breach of trust? Stay with us, because this story will show you the raw truth about honesty in relationships. If you believe trust matters most in love, hit that like button now. It was a quiet afternoon at the farm when Tien's world turned upside down. She had been working in the vegetable garden, humming softly to herself as she tended to the tomato plants. The sun was warm on her back, and everything felt peaceful and normal. She decided to take a break and went inside to prepare some tea. As she approached the house, she heard voices. Mother Loy and Uncle Dung were sitting on the porch, engaged in what seemed like a serious conversation. Tien didn't mean to eavesdrop. She was simply walking toward them when she heard Uncle Dung's grave voice say, "Thank God Jack managed to escape from those criminals. It could have ended so differently. When I heard he'd been kidnapped, my blood ran cold." Tien stopped in her tracks, her basket of vegetables nearly slipping from her hands. Kidnapped? Jack? What were they talking about? Mother Loy's voice responded, tinged with residual worry. "Those were terrifying days. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, just praying that my son would come home safely. When the police called to say they'd found him, I thought my heart would burst with relief." Tien felt the ground shift beneath her feet. Her mind was reeling, trying to process what she was hearing. Jack had been kidnapped? When? How? And most importantly, why hadn't anyone told her? She must have made a sound because both Mother Loy and Uncle Dung turned to look at her. The color drained from Mother Loy's face as she realized Tien had heard everything. "Oh no," Mother Loy whispered. "Tien, dear, I thought Jack had told you." But Tien couldn't hear anything else. A rushing sound filled her ears and her legs felt weak. Jack had been kidnapped. He had been in mortal danger, and he hadn't told her. The basket fell from her hands, vegetables scattering across the ground. Her whole body began to tremble, not from cold, but from a mixture of shock, fear, and something else. Anger, deep burning anger that she had never experienced before. How could he? How could Jack keep something so enormous, so terrifying from her? She had lived through those days thinking everything was fine, that Jack was simply away on business. She had smiled and waited for him to return, completely unaware that he might have been dying. Tien's mind raced backward, remembering the time Jack had said he needed to go check on a project site in another province. He had kissed her forehead, told her not to worry, that he'd be back soon. She had waved goodbye, trusting him completely. And all that time he had been in the hands of criminals? The thought made her sick to her stomach. What if something had gone wrong? What if he had died, and she had never known he was in danger? She would have spent the rest of her life wondering why he never came home, never knowing he had been taken from her. "Where is Jack?" Tien asked, her voice barely above a whisper, but carrying an edge that made Mother Loy flinch. "He's at the construction site, checking on..." Mother Loy started, but Tien was already moving. She walked with purpose, her hands clenched into fists at her sides, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Behind her, she heard Mother Loy call out, but she didn't stop. She needed to see Jack. She needed to hear from his own mouth why he had kept this from her. The walk to the construction site felt both endless and too short. With every step, Tien's emotions intensified. The initial shock was giving way to hurt and anger, Did Jack think she was too weak to handle the truth? Did he not trust her enough to share his burdens? She had opened her entire heart to him, shared her painful past, her fears, her dreams, and he had hidden something this significant from her. The betrayal cut deeper than she had expected. When she arrived at the site, she saw Jack standing with a group of workers, pointing at blueprints spread across a makeshift table. He looked so normal, so calm, as if nothing traumatic had ever happened to him. For a moment, Tien just stared at him, this man she loved more than anything, and felt like she was seeing a stranger. Jack looked up and saw her. His face immediately brightened with that smile she usually loved, but today it only fueled her anger. Tien, what a nice surprise. Jack started walking toward her, but the look on her face stopped him mid-sentence. Her eyes were red, whether from tears or rage he couldn't tell, and her entire body was rigid with tension. Tien, what's wrong? He asked, concern flooding his features. The workers sensed something was amiss and quietly excused themselves, leaving the couple alone. What's wrong? Tien repeated, her voice shaking. What's wrong, Jack? How about you tell me what's wrong? How about you tell me why I had to learn from Mother Loy and Uncle Dung that you were kidnapped, that you were held by criminals, that you could have died? Her voice broke on the last word, and tears started streaming down her face, despite her efforts to stay composed in her anger. Jack's face went pale. You heard about that, he said quietly. Not a question, but a statement of dreadful realization. I heard about it. Tien's voice rose. But I shouldn't have heard about it from them, Jack. I should have heard it from you. How could you keep something like this from me? How could you go through that and not tell me? Jack reached for her hands, but Tien stepped back, shaking her head. Don't, she said. Don't touch me right now. I need you to explain. I need you to tell me why you thought it was okay to hide this from me. Her voice was thick with emotion, tears continuing to fall. But her gaze was steady and demanding. Jack ran his hand through his hair, looking more distressed than Tien had ever seen him. I was going to tell you, he began. I swear I was. I was waiting until everything was resolved, until the police finished their investigation. I didn't want to worry you while it was all still happening. You didn't want to worry me? Tien's laugh was bitter and unlike her. Jack, do you have any idea how I feel right now? I'm more terrified now, learning about it after the fact, than I would have been if you'd told me while it was happening. At least then I could have been there for you, supported you, prayed for you while knowing what you were facing. I was trying to protect you, Jack said, his voice pleading. You've been through so much already, Tien. I didn't want to add more pain to your life. I thought if I could handle it on my own, deal with everything, then tell you once it was safe, it would be better. Tien shook her head vehemently. Better? Better for whom, Jack? For you, because you didn't have to face my worry? That's not how this works. That's not how we work. When you didn't come home those days, Tien continued, her voice breaking. I missed you, but I was fine, because I thought you were safe. I thought you were just working. Now I know that while I was peacefully tending the garden, you were tied up somewhere, maybe being hurt, maybe thinking you'd never see me again. And I didn't know. I couldn't even send you my love, my prayers, because I didn't know you needed them. Jack's eyes were glistening now. I'm sorry, he whispered. Tien, I'm so sorry, you're right. I should have told you. I made the wrong choice. But Tien wasn't finished. Do you know what hurts the most, Jack? It's not just that you didn't tell me. It's that you decided for me. You decided what I could and couldn't handle. You treated me like I'm fragile, like I'm still that broken woman you found with nothing. But I'm not her anymore, Jack. I'm stronger than that, and I deserve to be treated as your equal, as your partner. You're absolutely right, Jack said, taking a careful step closer. This time, Tien didn't step back, though her body remained tense. I was wrong. I wasn't thinking about what you needed or deserved. I was being selfish, trying to spare myself from seeing you worry. But that's not fair to you, and it's not respectful of the strong woman you are. Tien turned away from him, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. When I think about what could have happened, Jack, you could have died, and I would have lost you without ever knowing you were in danger. I would have spent the rest of my life wondering, never having the chance to fight for you, to be by your side. That thought is unbearable. Jack moved to stand beside her, not touching her, but close enough that she could feel his presence. I understand now, he said softly. I understand that by trying to protect you from worry, I actually hurt you more. I took away your right to share in my burdens, to be my partner in the difficult times, not just the good ones. They stood in silence for a long moment, the sounds of the construction site distant and muted. Finally, Jack spoke again, his voice thick with emotion. Tien, I promise you. I swear to you on everything I hold dear. I will never hide anything from you again. No matter how difficult, no matter how scared I am of worrying you, I will always be honest with you. You deserve nothing less. Tien turned to look at him, her eyes searching his face. Do you mean that? Because, Jack, if you make this promise and then break it, I don't know if I could forgive you again. Jack reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. When she didn't, he gently took her hands in his. I mean it with every fiber of my being. You are my partner, Tien. In everything. The good, the bad, the terrifying. We face it together. Always. Tien's anger was beginning to ebb, replaced by exhaustion and lingering hurt. I need you to tell me everything, she said. Right now. I need to hear the whole story. What happened, how you escaped, all of it. Don't leave anything out. Jack nodded. Of course. Let me tell the workers to continue without me. Then I'll tell you everything. They sat down on a stack of lumber at the edge of the site, and Jack began his story. He told her about the fake business meeting, about being grabbed and thrown into a van, about the dark room where he was held. Tien's hand gripped his tighter with each detail, her face reflecting every emotion. Fear, anger, relief. When he told her about Vin, about how the young man had helped him escape despite the danger, Tien's eyes widened. Eyes. So that's why you hired Vin, she whispered. Jack nodded. He saved my life, Tien. I owed him more than just speaking to the police on his behalf. As Jack continued his story, describing the escape, the police chase, the arrests, Tien found tears rolling down her cheeks again. But these were different tears. Tears of relief, of gratitude that he was still here, still alive. When he finished, they sat in silence. Then Tien leaned her head against Jack's shoulder. I'm still angry with you, she said quietly. But I'm also so grateful you're alive. When I think about how close I came to losing you. Her voice trailed off. Jack wrapped his arm around her. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Promise me again, Tien said, looking up at him. Promise me that from now on, no matter what happens, you'll tell me immediately. Even if it scares you. Even if you think it will worry me. Promise me we'll face everything together. Jack cupped her face in his hands, looking directly into her eyes. I promise, Tien. No more secrets. No more decisions made alone. We're partners in everything. starting now. Tien nodded slowly, finally allowing herself to lean fully into Jack's embrace. "I love you," she whispered. "And that's why this hurts so much. Because the thought of losing you, of not knowing you were in danger, was unbearable." Jack kissed the top of her head. "I love you too. And I will never make the mistake of shutting you out again. Your strength, your love, I need them, especially in the difficult times." What Tien learned that day was that love isn't just about protecting each other from pain. It's about trusting each other enough to share the burdens, to face the darkness together. Jack had meant well, but his attempt to shield her had actually created a deeper wound. True partnership means honesty, even when that honesty brings worry or fear. It means respecting your partner enough to let them decide how they want to support you, rather than making that decision for them. The anger Tien felt wasn't just about being kept in the dark. It was about being treated as someone who needed protection, rather than as an equal partner. She had fought so hard to rebuild her life, to become strong again, and Jack's well-intentioned deception had inadvertently diminished that strength. But in confronting him, in demanding honesty and respect, Tien showed both Jack and herself just how far she had come. Jack's promise that day became the foundation of a deeper trust between them. From that moment on, he made sure to share everything with Tien. His business worries, his concerns, his fears. And Tien did the same. Their relationship grew stronger not despite this difficult moment, but because of it. They learned that true intimacy comes from vulnerability, from allowing your partner to see you at your weakest and trusting them to stand beside you. Thank you for joining Tien through this emotional journey today. If this story touched your heart, if you understand the importance of honesty and trust in relationships, please hit that like button and subscribe to continue following Tien and Jack's story. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that real love means facing everything together, not protecting each other from the truth. Ring that notification bell so you won't miss the next chapter in their Highland life. Remember, the strongest relationships are built on trust, honesty, and mutual respect. See you in the next video. And until then, may you always have the courage to be truthful with those you love.